Now, James, you've hinted at this before, and in the idea of waking up and feeling tired as being one of the signs. How can a business owner or anyone listening to this podcast best assess where their health is today? Because this is like an invisible hangover. The awareness to it isn't there. So is there anything else someone should look out for? Is there tests they can get done or blood work or any other general signs you would think present that someone's health isn't where they should be?
Awesome
or
question. The easiest thing by far is, are you 100% happy with where your life is right now? Right? That's the easiest thing. Are you making the money that you want to make? Is your business as successful as you want it to be? Next thing, when you look in the mirror, are you shredded and jacked? Have you got a Grant 4-pack? You looking good like that? Are you feeling good? Is your sex drive good? If you're wanting to throw a leg over, really in business owners and you're in a relationship, I'd dare say that's quite common. You're looking to throw a leg over 4+ times a week, you're pretty good. If you are in your relationship, like connecting well with your partner, if you're doing all these things really well, if you're feeling really good, then you're great. But the difficult thing is that most people don't tick all of those boxes all at once. If you're missing any of those things, so if your business isn't where you want it to be, if you're not making as much money as what you should, if your sex drive isn't great, if the way that you feel and the way that you look in the mirror is not great, if your relationship's not great, I also forgot to mention, if you feel anxious, if you feel stressed, if you feel depressed, if you feel highs and lows, if someone comes in, they're like, oh no, I just lost $100,000, and you react or you get upset or you feel like it throws you off, then you're not in a position where you should be, and you can be way better. And being in that position is going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. It's going to cost you your health, and it's going to cost you your happiness as long as you're there. That's the easiest one. Going beyond that, like and looking even deeper, to be perfectly frank, I think that's actually the best test. A lot of people like blood tests. And I'm going to say one thing, which is probably the worst marketing ever. I probably should tell everyone, you need to have exactly 27 nanomoles per liter of testosterone. Otherwise, your testosterone is not good enough. And that'd probably be a smarter marketing thing, but I don't think it's the most ethical thing to do. The most important thing is how you feel. If you don't feel like every single day, you are the fucking man. If you have one day where you have a chink in your armor, if you have one day where you're a little bit weak, then you are going to inevitably be leaving money on the table and happiness on the table. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I've got a sub-question to go with that. How do you feel about things like these Apple Watches as an assessment? Because I must admit I've become slightly obsessed with the heart rate data and HVR data and have found it to be semi-accurate for how I feel. Even if it's not like accurate in general, it seems accurate to itself.
Right? Let me rewind. When Charlie says semi-obsessed, every morning at 5 a.m. we might send screenshots of our Apple Watch data to each other.
Sleep data, resting heart rate. Oh, it's pretty cute.
Maybe.
That's very cute. You guys should get married.
We're married like that. What can we say?
Yeah.
So where's your place on those things?
I have an Oura Ring, by the way. That's my thing. There's a couple of issues with it. Actually, sorry, first of all, I will say I like them, right? But there's definitely a couple of issues with them. Number one, they're not accurate. That Apple Watch is like 50, 60% accurate at best. So it's nice having data. It's great. But also, Charlie, you could all message me in the morning and I could have a stab at your HRV and tell you what it is, and it'd probably be a similar amount of accuracy, right? So not to say that it's terrible, but it's the risk of it being wrong is quite high. The next thing after that is that just because your HRV is good, or just because you've had 3 hours of deep sleep, doesn't mean that you actually feel good. And so sometimes when we have these biometric devices, and by the way, like there are millions of different data points within the body. HRV, heart rate variability is great. Resting heart rate is great. Deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, sleep cycles, they're all brilliant. You know, even if you get into some of the head pieces and you start looking at the brain waves that you have going on, they're all brilliant. They're all absolutely fantastic measures. But if you wake up feeling shit in the morning, you still feel shit, right? Just because your watch or your ring tells you, oh, you should feel good. If you don't feel good, you don't feel good. Does that make sense? So it often confuses how you feel for what it says how you should feel. Cool?
It was one of these, it was actually interesting. One of the things that I found challenging when I was on my, 12-month downward cycle, which I got out of after that quite quickly, was just how progressively, sort of how much it progressed downwards to the point that I actually did not know what a good benchmark was anymore. Right? Like, and it's almost like it reset what I defined as feeling good. And so I'm curious, is there like, I just then jumped on a scale and I'm like, oh, wow, I've gained weight. Oh, wow, I've stopped meditation. And that was kind of the thing. And then someone else calling it out. Is there like, is weight one of the things that is an indicator into this?
Even better than weight is how you look, right? If you look in the mirror and you don't have some semblance of abs, right, not good. It's as simple as that. For your professional athletes, I always have a rule: if you don't have veins through your abs, you're fat, right? And if you're, if you're a business owner, you want to have some sort of abs, right? The reason being is it's twofold when it comes to health. Number one, if you are overweight or if you're holding body fat, then it means that you're going to generally have, potentially have some sort of insulin resistance, particularly if it's around the midsection, right? Insulin resistance immediately increases your risk of a whole heap of diseases like heart disease, I'm pretty sure cancers, diabetes, all this sort of stuff, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing after that is, how some people, they just get watery, like it just looks a bit soft and really jiggly. Like fat's fat, but there's some people that get like really jiggly and it just doesn't look like healthy at all. When you have that, you have excessive abdominal water retention. And I see this all the time in guys who are chronically stressed. The way that this happens is there's a hormone called cortisol. We've probably all heard of cortisol before. Cortisol is the hormone, which is the stress hormone, the major stress hormone within the body. And whenever we get an increase in cortisol, we get an increase in water retention. Now, cortisol is bad because chronically elevated cortisol is bad. I'll rephrase that. It's bad because, number one, it makes you look like shit. It'll make you look fatter than what you are. Nobody wants that. But number two, it reduces your sex hormones. So in men, it'll reduce your testosterone and your estrogen too. In women, it'll reduce your estrogen. And that's when we start getting a whole heap of negative impacts when it comes to our hormones. We lose our sex drive. We lose our confidence. We lose our charisma. We lose our ability to connect. And it actually makes us more anxious, right? So, whenever you have elevated levels of cortisol, your life's not going to be fun. And a really easy way to tell is just by the amount of water retention and fluidity you appear to have. Does that make sense?
I get it in my cheeks. It's I actually see it in my face as well. Very, very noticeable at times when I've had that.
Shit, night's sleep, bang, comes up, huh?
Does. It's fascinating. Now, James, you're kind of hinting on the idea of like a level of fitness is required and health in general. I would love to know your opinion on this. Let's say someone is a business owner, is the level they need to be at is what I would call athlete fit? Like, do these guys need to be at the same level of fitness that you would consider someone who is an athlete? Or is this something where there's like, if an athlete is a 10 out of 10 and there's a scale in this example, is 5 out of 10 fitness where business owners should aim for because maybe they don't have the 20 hours a week to be athlete fit?
Totally. That's an awesome question. So first of all, you don't have to do anything. You can sit back on the couch and suck bongs all day, for all I care. It doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, that's the most important thing.
That is not at all why people listen to this show, James. You should. The title of this show is Business and Investing. People listen because they want to be rich and loaded and be at the absolute fucking peak. Well, that's what we're seeing.
Well, then if you want to be rich and loaded at the absolute fucking peak, then what we need to be looking is, okay, how much do you actually want to peak? And by the way, too, with this, there's this really bad misconception that in order to have elite health, you need to put in elite hours. You don't. It's actually really, really easy. I don't even lift weights anymore. I don't train. I just do jiu-jitsu because I like strangling people. That's it. It's very fun. I highly recommend you take it up. But with it, you don't need to train hard. I train 5 hours a week type thing. It's not that much. And so that's the first thing. In terms of where you want to be for like elite performance, if you really, really want to have peak performance, here's where you want to be. Number one, you want to wake up every single morning feeling fucking incredible, right? That's the first most important thing. Wake up and feel fucking great. That means when you get up, you don't look at the alarm or look out the window and think, oh my God, I just want to go back to bed. You feel like you want to be alive, okay? The next thing after that we want to make sure that you're feeling is confident. If you're second guessing yourself, if you're continually doubting yourself, if you don't have self-belief that you can go and conquer the world, then that's going to be a problem too, because that's going to impact your ability to perform. Because that leads into anxiety. Whenever you have that lack of confidence, that self-doubt, you have anxiety, which is present. And anxiety leads to increased cortisol, as I was talking about just before. It means that your sympathetic nervous system is activated, so your nervous system's not terribly happy. Your sex hormones will be lower. Your testosterone will be poor if you're a man. Estrogen will be poor if you're a woman. And you won't be able to lead your company and to lead your family in the way that you actually want to. The next thing, if your relationships aren't good, right? Most of the time when a relationship's not good, it means that both partners don't necessarily have a great sex drive. Sex is really important. You should be throwing a leg over really regularly, because sex is part of connection, it's part of communication, intimacy, all really, really incredibly important. So if you're not doing any of those things, you're not great. Now, when it comes to the body composition stuff, it's important, not as important. It doesn't matter a whole heap, but I definitely recommend that everybody has some semblance, or all men in particular, has some semblance of abs. And all women should look in the mirror and feel good. You know, that's how you should feel. You don't need to be a shredded bikini model or, you know, jacked like a bodybuilder. None of that is necessary. It doesn't matter at all. But you should look healthy. If you go and you look at the photos of people who lived a couple of 100 years ago and see how they looked, you know, or look at a lot of the indigenous tribes around the world, like the Hadza, who are currently still going, and they're like not really in contact with Western civilization, and you see how they look, that's generally how you should look, because that's a really healthy, well-functioning body. And another thing too that I haven't touched on is if you have pain throughout your body, you need to fix that. That needs to go. Right? You can't have pain, because whenever you have pain, you're not going to be able to focus all your attention on work. So if you have pain, if you have discomfort, if you have tension throughout your body, you need to fix that. It's not a good sign. A healthy body should be a pain-free body. It should be one where you move effortlessly and easily and you feel good all the time. And I guess I keep coming back to that. The most important thing is that you feel really good. I know it's a subjective measurement, not the best one for marketing, but I encourage you guys to learn about it way, way more about how you feel.
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into creating wealth inside and outside your business, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.